Okay, now we're recording.
I'll just record. Okay. Sorry about that. I think most of you have applied already, but if you have not and received information from us, please sign in and register with us. There's 2 QR codes, one for a master's degree and one for a doctoral degree. And again, these slides will be posted after the presentation, so don't feel like you have to hurry up and scan these right away. They will be available later. All right, so this is our team. It's just me running the show today, but working with myself is Dr. Melissa Sarntanoranat. She's our Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and also a professor in the Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering Department. And we also have Mike Nazareth, who's the Director of Graduate Recruiting and Undergrad Research here in the college. And also you just heard from Dallas Betterson, who is our Program Coordinator. And I'll let all of our panelists start introducing themselves. Ethel? I think you're muted.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Ethel Porras. I work with the International Student Services Office.
Dr. Anderson is actually teaching until 10 o'clock, so he will be joining us later. So we will move on to Christina.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina Zapp. I work with the CISE department. We're glad to have you here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julissa Nunez. I'm the Graduate Admissions Officer for the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pam Simon. I work with the Engineering Education Department with the Admissions Department.
Good morning. My name is Jordan Sharpshare, and I am the Graduate Academic Advisor in the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering.
Hi, good morning. My name is Brittany Guerriere. I'm the Admissions Advisor for MAE Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. It's great to have you here today.
Good morning. My name is Allison Beatty, and I am from the Department of Materials Science and Nuclear Engineering. We are very fortunate to have you with us today, and we hope we can answer all of your questions.
All right. And I will let our student panelists go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chandrakumar Golaju. I'm doing Ph.D. degree in engineering education.
Hi, I'm Emily Gunger. I'm a third-year PhD candidate in nuclear engineering. I'm your chair of your Engineering Graduate Student Council, and so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Hi everyone, my name is Ibrahim Hausa. I'm a first semester MS student at MAE.
Hi everyone, I'm Mahanya here. I'm a first year master's student in computer science at UF.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter Kowalski. I'm a first year PhD student in biomedical engineering, and yeah, happy to help answer any questions we can.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. So if you have any questions, again, please put those in the Q&A, and our panelists will be happy to answer those as we go along. This slide is just a few highlights of what we think sets UF engineering and UF as an institution apart. Most notably, we are a top 5 public university in research expenditures. We are a top 10 ranked university. We graduate, we're in the top 10 for graduating doctoral degrees. And on average, we produce over 100 new inventions annually. And if you will be joining us as a Gator engineer, you will be, once you graduate, part of a very broad and vast alumni network with a lot of connections throughout industry and academia, government positions, I see a lot of our students reaching out to alumni via LinkedIn or other alumni connections, and really helps them get internships and employment. So, and most recently, I'll talk about the last bullet point. We have what we call HyperGator, which is the most, as of I think maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, the most powerful supercomputer in US higher education. So that is something that we really value here at UF. I'll talk a little bit about our research foci in a second, but HyperGator is pretty influential into all of the research that UF does. In addition to those recognitions, we are fortunate, like I said, to be named a top 5 public university in the US by Forbes, and top 10 public university in the US by US News and World Report. So those are two of the top, I guess, entities that rank universities. So we're very proud to be amongst those highly ranked institutions. And there's some other rankings there. We're in the top 10 of new Ivies by Forbes, and some other notable recognitions. So a little bit about University of Florida. We're a very big campus. You can see there are 900 buildings, 2,000 acres, almost 61,000 total students. And of those, about 20,000, just a little under 20,000 are graduate students. Each year, recently for fiscal year 25, we have brought in over 1.3 billion in research expenditures. So that really sets us apart amongst other research institutions. We're constantly, our faculty are very prolific in getting grant funding and providing those opportunities for students to work in their labs, and are very productive in research. UF has 14 colleges and schools and over 5,000 faculty members. The College of Engineering has a big footprint on campus. We have 25 buildings ourselves, 11,000 total engineering students. So, and of those, about 25% or a third or so are graduate students. And of that 1.3 billion research expenditures, of that alone, the UF College of Engineering produces over 130 million, which puts us in the top 5 in research spending among public universities. Within the college, there's 11 departments and over 20 degree programs to choose from. So hopefully you will find that we have something interesting to you and something that suits your research interests. Listed here, as I mentioned, we have several departments, several different areas of concentration, and we're even expanding to new programs and spaces beyond the Gainesville campus. So new for fall in 2026, we will actually be having a campus in Jacksonville, Florida. So that's about an hour and a half or so away from Gainesville. And we will have computer science and engineering management programs housed there. And they are actively recruiting for students for fall 26 admission. So this is a little breakdown of the graduate students in the engineering college. As you can see, some of our bigger departments are computer science, ECE, mechanical and aerospace engineering. But all of those departments are growing. So the smaller ones like applied data science and artificial intelligence systems, those are our fairly new programs, and they offer master's degrees. And all of the other programs are growing exponentially. We hope you will be a part of those. As I mentioned, UF has a broad expanse of research opportunities in the College of Engineering. One thing we have focused on is AI research, and we have kind of named ourselves the AI University. And the goal there is to integrate AI-focused research into all of our curriculum across campus. That picture there is of Malachowski Hall, where several of our departments are located, one of our newer buildings. We also feature smart manufacturing, experiential learning through our engineering education department. Our biomedical engineering department is expanding into AI through a smart ICU, combining medicine and engineering together with AI. We're a leader in cybersecurity research and big data. There's a picture of our hybrigator there, which, as I mentioned, is now the fastest supercomputer on a US university campus. Through environmental and civil engineering, we have water pollution research, sustainability research, coastal engineering, focusing on coastal ecosystems and dynamics. We are also a leader in semiconductors. We have a Florida Semiconductor Institute devoted to producing research in that area. Also, engineering education, focusing on engineering student success, team and tech interaction with our industrial and systems engineering department. We have a UF training reactor, which is that photo there that you see. And we're also a leader in radiochemistry and nuclear security. Now, I have talked enough. I'm going to hand it over to Ethel Porras from the UF International Center to talk about their services.
Thank you, Krista. Good morning again, everyone. So I work at the International Center, and we work with students once they've already been admitted to their department in terms of getting them the I-20 that they will then need to apply for the visa to come study in the US. So our involvement in the process comes after the admission decision is granted. And I'm just going to go over quickly some of the main things to be aware of if you're an international student needing a student visa to come study. Next, please. So currently, the way the I-20 application process works is first you're admitted by your academic department. The department then submits a request to our office to begin working on the I-20 for their admitted students. We then contact the student directly with detailed instructions about completing the application for the I-20. When we receive the completed application, we review and process it. When the I-20 is ready, we send you an email to let you know you can log back in, download your I-20. You will then use that I-20 to proceed to schedule a visa appointment at a US embassy, hopefully then get the visa and be able to schedule your travel to arrive here. With the instructions that we will be sending about the I-20 application, they're very detailed, and we specify what's needed in terms of funding information. For the I-20 process, the student does need to provide proof of financial support for the time that they expect to study in the US, and specifically for the I-20, it's for at least the first year of their program. They can show more, but they will need to show at least proof for the first year. These are the current numbers. I do understand that they are expected to change once the new numbers get released for the fall 2026 admission cycle. But this is what it currently is for any spring 2026 admits. Next slide. Once the student receives the I-20, they pay what's called the CVIS fee and schedule an appointment at the US Embassy. The US appointments at the US embassies can get a little bit, can be a little bit of a frustrating experience for students, especially in areas where there's a high demand for appointments. It's important to get started on the process as soon as possible. So as soon as you get communication that we need to begin the I-20 process, the sooner the student completes that, then the sooner we can generate the I-20s to get them back to you all so that you can schedule visa appointments. Sometimes visa appointments can get pretty far out in areas where there's a high demand. So the earlier that the process can start, the better. Once a student arrives in Gainesville, then they proceed to register for the classes, begin their classes, etc., and complete the check-in with our office. So the check-in is an online process. No one has to show up in person anywhere to do that. But it must be completed after the student arrives in the United States. It's online, it's fairly easy. It's just a matter of us needing to verify the student actually entered the country and started school here. It is mandatory in the sense that if we don't hear from you that you're here, we're gonna need to terminate that I-20 we issued. So it's very important that for any new students coming in, that they complete this check-in with our office. Regarding the critical dates and deadlines, the main things I will sort of try to remind everyone there is that try as best as possible to make all your plans and travel arrangements so that you're here by the time the semester starts, as by the time classes begin. It's important to be already in the United States, be enrolled full-time when classes begin. As far as the earliest time that students can start arriving in the country, this is specific for international students, it will be up to 30 days before the start of the semester when students can start coming in. Once students arrive and register, it's important to keep mind of the critical dates and deadlines, such as when fees are due, so classes don't get canceled if you don't pay. If you need to do anything regarding dropping any classes, there are deadlines for that. There's various academic deadlines that you just have to be mindful of when you're starting out. Next slide. Okay, oh, sorry, one slide back. So once students are here, our office will be monitoring the progress of the student throughout their time here at the university. Monitoring in terms of visa status matters, not in terms of academics. So any academic related questions should always be directed to the academic department for very specific things related to your majors. Anything that can impact the visa status, that's where our office is involved. So the main areas where we're going to be monitoring any impact to the visa status will be along enrollment and employment. Very important that all students studying here enroll on a full-time basis each semester that they're here. The only exception would be in the final semester. If a student has less than full-time credits left to complete the degree, they can enroll in whatever's left. But in any other semester, full-time enrollment each semester is required. Another big area for students to be aware of is any employment or training. So in terms of opportunities to participate in internships or externships or any other practical training that you might be interested in getting hands-on work experience in your field, work authorization is needed for those processes. So it's important to check with our office before starting any type of work to ensure you have the proper work approval to be able to do that. Working on campus is also allowed for international students. Up to 20 hours a week on campus is fine. Working off campus is generally not allowed ever unless there is an approval received, such as to do internships and that sort of thing. But those things require time because they require application processes, and those have to be obtained before any work can begin. So those are the two main areas that I would caution students, be very careful about checking with your home department, but also with the International Center whenever there are questions about full-time enrollment or employment or training in the US. Next. And if there are any questions regarding visa status issues, certainly contact the International Center. All students are assigned a specific advisor to work with their cases. and we'll assist as best that we can. If there's anything we cannot assist about, we will refer you to the correct place to go for help. But it's always better to just check than not. It's always better to ask than not. And that's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you so much, Ethel. It's a lot to remember for international students, so feel free if you're an international student and you have questions, like Ethel said, to reach out to your UFIC advisor or to your department's graduate staff, and they can point you in the right direction to get those questions answered. So switching over to information about our different degrees, starting with master's degrees, there's a few different paths or methods for getting a master's degree at UF. Probably the most common, most typical is a master's on campus here in our Gainesville campus, but also could be Jacksonville coming up soon. And that takes an average of 1.5 to 2 years or 3 to 4 semesters. They're course-based and also research-based, depending on if you decide to do a non-thesis or a thesis master's. We also offer distance learning via our EDGE program. Same time to degree, but is entirely distance-based, and the tuition is reduced. If you're applying for a master's degree and interested in a PhD, we do have students who continue on from our master's into the PhD after completion. And actually, you do have an advantage because most likely our faculty will already know you, and they will be more inclined to accept students into their labs as a PhD student if they already know you and are familiar with you, rather than an applicant that they're just reviewing on paper and haven't met yet. So keep that in mind. I'm going to stop here and call on one of our master students to talk about their path. Let's see. Ibrahim, would you like to talk about your path to a UF Master's program?
Yeah, do you want me to talk about the registration, or you want me to talk about?
You can
What?
talk about the admissions process, anything you think is relevant, how you found out about UF, what made you pick UF.
Yeah, actually, I have one of my friends here. He talked to me more about the UF, and I got interested about it because it has like diversity and within the mechanical engineering department, like a lot of areas, research areas. So I decided to come to the UF. Actually, I have background in academia. I'm an instructor back home. So I am more focused on research areas that can help me in my future, in my career. So UF is a good place for this. And I think this is what I'm talking about for a moment.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Okay.
So the master's admissions process is pretty standard. It is relatively competitive. So as you can see in fall 2025, we admitted a little over half of the applicants, excuse me, and enrolled half of those. So average cumulative GPA was 3.52. We do not require the GPA for any department except computer science. So if you have GRE scores and you include them in your application, it may or may not be considered if it's not required. So make sure you are in contact with your graduate admissions staff in your department to determine if you need to submit those or if it helps or impacts your application in any way. The requirements are pretty standard. There is an online application, which is due January 5th for priority consideration. Unofficial transcripts and degree documents are required for the application process. You do not need to submit official documents until you are offered and accepted admission. We require 3 letters of recommendation. That's a general requirement. Some departments may require 2 letters, some may require more or less. It just depends. There's a statement of purpose required. Those are test scores there. If you're an international student, it might be relevant to you. But as I mentioned, departments have different requirements, so it's really important to check their website or check the website of the programs that you are applying to. Ask questions, make sure that you have all the knowledge you need and all the requirements. You're aware of all the requirements before you submit your application. Okay, many of you might be interested in application fee waivers if you haven't submitted your application yet. We do have application fee waivers for a lot of master's applicants. The only department that is not offering those is the Computer and Information Science and Engineering department right now. For chemical engineering and SE, which would be civil and environmental and coastal engineering, those 2 departments would like you to reach out to them for more information about fee waivers. And there are some websites down there for more information and information about the application fee for our graduate school, which is pretty low, very economical compared to others in the United States. It's only $30. So I've seen these range from $50 to $150. It just depends on the institution, but ours is relatively low. Moving on to PhD programs. As you might expect, PhDs take a longer time to complete than a master's degree if you are coming in with a bachelor's degree. So probably 4.5 to 5 years is what you're looking at. If you already have a master's, that may be cut down a little bit, but you're also doing research, and depending on the type of research you're doing, you may finish your research in 3 to 4 years, or it may still take you 4.5 to 5 years, even if you already have a master's. It just really depends. So there's no guarantee that it will be shorter if you already have a master's, but it is possible. If you're a UF master's student continuing to a PhD, it's kind of the same idea. Might be cut short a little bit, especially if you're continuing in the same lab, because in theory, you've already gotten a head start on your PhD research. Admissions process for PhD is quite similar to the master's programs. It is more competitive. So as you can see, we only admitted 23% last year. And of those that were admitted, almost half enrolled. So we do have quite a good turnout, I guess, in terms of enrollment from our applicants. GPA is a little bit higher, and test scores are, I believe, the same for master's programs. The application requirements are pretty much the same, except CISE does not require the GRE for their PhD program. And I will stop here and ask some of our staff now to talk about their PhD admissions requirements and masters if you'd like to, as I know those, as I mentioned, differ across departments. So Brittany, do you want to start us off by telling us about MAE?
Yeah, thank you so much, Krista. So yeah, as she mentioned, there is a lot of variation in the admission process, department to department. So it's really important that you reach out to us directly and specify which department you are interested in so we can give you the most accurate information. So for MAE, our PhD program admission requirement is funding, or part of the admission requirements is funding. So we require that you have contacted faculty and secure your advisor and funding in order to complete the processing and admission to the PhD program. So we encourage you to go to our website and take a look at our research areas page and our faculty research matrix. I can drop these links in the chat so that you have access to them. And then open up their profiles, take a look at their websites to learn more about their research and find the faculty who you match with best, whose research really aligns with what you're interested in, what you're trying to do. and then contact them via email after you've applied. Let them know what research you're interested in doing and why you might want to work with them, and try to set up a call. So we encourage that you reach out to our faculty directly via email to set up a call. That way you guys can discuss if there's good potential for fit to join their lab. Once a faculty advisor has offered you funding, then your application will be processed and you'll receive your offer of admission. But again, this is specifically for the Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering PhD program. So this does vary with different engineering departments. And I think we'll pass on the baton to somebody. The master's stuff that Krista went over is accurate for us. There's no faculty requirement there unless you're doing a thesis. You do need to secure an advisor in order to join the thesis program. But yeah, I'll let you pick on our next panelist to talk about the admission process for PhD.
I'll
Sounds
jump
good.
in.
Oh.
For engineering education, our PhD actually runs the same way as mechanical and aerospace's does. You will not be actually admitted unless you do receive funding from a faculty member. And the best way to do it is, like Brittany was saying, go out on the website, look at the faculty, reach out to them to see if you are a fit for their lab and if they do have funding to offer.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to one more staff member. Christina, would you like to talk about CISE? Because I know that their processes and requirements are a little different.
Yeah, and I'm actually in the middle of trying to answer some questions that pertains to this. So that was actually perfect timing. So for us, the deadline, everything's the same. Sending your transcripts the same, you upload them. Please keep in mind, and this is across the board. Now, I don't know if departments are accepting them, but I mean, as far as like application purposes, whether it's the MS program, the master's or PhD, doesn't matter. If you would start an application and you submit it through Slate, the Office of Admissions, you cannot go back in and upload any missing transcripts. Once you submit your transcripts, they're done. Or once you submit your application, they're done. We don't accept transcripts via email or anything else. So make sure you're paying attention to the different requirements from departments for sure, whichever one you're applying to, because we're all so different on what we require. Master's program is pretty simple. You apply. We don't focus so much on the recommendation letters. We are one of the only, I was going to say few, but I guess we're the only one that requires the GRE for our master's program. So make sure that you have that in. And then, we look at your transcripts and to see your GPA and whatnot. As far as the PhD program, this is very important. I'm getting quite a few questions. Do not reach out to faculty. We do not encourage that. We have over 50 faculty. We have lots of students that are applied to our program. They get so many emails and they get so bombarded that you will get, I don't want to say red flagged, because it's not that you'll get red flagged, but you will get lost in the email. It won't even matter. So they get upset by it because they get so many emails. Here's what happens. You apply. What I tell students all the time, is in your statement of purpose, list whatever research area you are interested in. Once you find a research area interest, state that in your statement of purpose. State the faculty that is over or under that research lab or area. That is how we can send them directly your application to them. I do that. So that's my job. So your job is completing the application, sending them, their information and whatnot. I'll get it to them. We put everybody in a file. The faculty have access to every application that is complete. That means your 3 letters of recommendations for the PhD program, which is a little bit different than the master's program, which you can understand going into the PhD program. You're going to be hopefully working with this person for 4 or 5 years. We need letters of recommendations, and we do recommend 3 letters of recommendation. So please, again, I cannot stress to you enough, do not reach out to our faculty asking them if they have seats available or if they're hiring, because they're just going to send me the email and be aggravated, and I'm just going to send you the same thing that I'm telling you now. So just make just make it stand out so we can get it to the appropriate person. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So yeah, as you can see, there's a wide variation between departments on what they require and what they recommend. So again, just make sure you're in communication with the admissions staff in your department that you're applying to make sure you're covering all of your bases and completing all of their requirements. One thing additional I wanted to mention from this slide is the priority deadline for admission for PhD applicants is different than the master's program. Applications are due December 5th. So it's a whole month earlier than master's applications. So just keep that in mind. Let's hear from a PhD student. Peter, do you want to talk about your application process and admissions process? What led you to UF?
Sure, that would be great. I think for me, what was really beneficial was I actually went to the Biomedical Engineering Society conference in the fall, and there I got to connect with staff and faculty in my department, as well as current graduate students and PhD students. So I was able to learn from their experience, get to know a bit about the department, and then from there, I was able to actually go through the application process, and then came to the admitted students day in the spring where I interviewed with 2 different faculty and followed up based on those interviews and my specific area of interest, and was really able to get a lot of information from there and make my decision based on that.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so here is the same chart of application fee waiver availability that we saw from the master's program, but as you can see, it's quite different. So there are a few departments that do not provide fee waivers for PhD applicants that are international students. Some of them are available, but you need to contact the department for more information. Other students, they are widely available depending on where you're applying from. So make a note of this chart, and if you haven't received a fee waiver, reach out to your department, or this might explain why you haven't received one from us. Additional information are down there at those websites below again, and same application fee for the PhD admission application as the master's. So that's $30 for all graduate programs. So moving into cost of attendance and cost of living in Gainesville, all goes back to why you might choose UF. So we do think that, at least me personally speaking, and I talked to many students, Gainesville is relatively low cost of living compared to some other universities you might be applying to or looking into. So as you can see, you might already know, I'm sure, that, on the far end of the cost of living chart there, University of California is going to be very expensive compared to even Georgia Tech, which is kind of in the middle there. UF is below the national average. So your stipend, if you're a PhD student, will get you pretty far, and hopefully, I think living relatively comfortably for a graduate student with that stipend. Our tuition has remained relatively low. So if you're a master's student and relying on self-funding to come here, our tuition is low compared to our competitors. So UCLA is there in the middle. The California schools tend to be more expensive, and Virginia up to about $60,000 a year. So just something to consider when you are weighing your options with graduate programs, because especially if you're a self-paying student, the tuition is a big factor. Keep that in mind. And we do have the financial aid office has a website there at the bottom left for you to see the cost breakdown and tuition fees breakdown for what you would be paying if you attended UF as a graduate student. So a little more information about funding for master's students. This is kind of breaking news. So as of literally Monday, our college made some changes to the Achievement Award. So if you have been researching our master's programs and funding options on our website before this week, you may have seen some different information. So for students starting in fall 2026, the Academic Achievement Award will be $3,300 total, and that will be split over 3 semesters. That is available to all non-Florida resident applicants. International students, domestic students, that doesn't matter. You just have to be a non-Florida resident. And also, ED students are not eligible for the Achievement Award. As your tuition is already significantly discounted, we can't combine those 2 awards. PhD students, on the other hand, funding is quite different. As I mentioned, you are not typically paying yourself. I don't think any of our College of Engineering departments even allow students to self-fund themselves. Typically, you are awarded some type of assistantship or fellowship, and those come with a stipend, which is at minimum $32K, and going up to, depending on the department, around $35,000. Those come with a tuition waiver and health insurance benefits, and continues each year of your graduate, your PhD degree, as long as you are making satisfactory progress towards your degree. We do.
Do you mind if I hop in, Krista, for a second?
Oh
I
yeah,
did
sure.
want to just say that MAE does have self-funded PhD students if they have like an external scholarship. We have a few students who have joined our program from like a government scholarship, or if they've applied for other external fellowships and scholarships. Yeah, if you have any questions about the self-funding options in MAE, I'm happy to discuss that. We can schedule an appointment. I'll drop the link in the chat for how to schedule an appointment, because I think that's more of a one-on-one conversation to talk about your specific situation. But I just wanted to put out there that we do have some self-funded students in our PhD program. But the
Yeah.
vast majority are still funded from the sources that Krista mentioned.
Thank you. So yeah, there's a wide variety, I don't know, wide variety, but there is a variety of ways you can be funded as a doctoral student. I have had students who have been sponsored by their home country, if they're an international student, for example. Funding can work in different ways. Sometimes the sponsorship is paying the student directly. Sometimes they're paying their tuition directly to the university. So there's a lot of differences that are possible. These are the main options here, but if you have a scholarship from your home institution that's something a little different than what we're mentioning here, just make sure you're in touch with your admission staff or your advisor in the department you're applying to, and they will work all of that out. If you have a fellowship, whether it be external or one of the internal ones, there are top-offs provided. So you would get a boost in your salary for achieving one of those external fellowships. Before I go on to industry, let's talk to some students about their funding and how they are navigating that. So Mahanya, would you like to talk about the master's program and the tuition, how you feel UF compares to other schools you might have looked into?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so as was shared in the slides, the fees is relatively affordable compared to other top public universities, and so the academics for the tuition is also really good. Like so far, I've been enjoying the academics in college, and also the achievement award scholarship comes into the picture. Like so, yeah, that is offered for 3 semesters, and yeah, so overall, it's a good academic wise. The college is really good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Emily, do you want to talk about from the PhD side what stipend is like, how far that goes in Gainesville, and the things you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, so I do want to say that it's going to differ by department. So When I came from my undergrad, so I came from straight from bachelor's to PhD, and I started getting into my group like a little before I was admitted, just because there was a member of my group who graduated from the same undergrad as me, so it was a easy mentorship right there. Um, and he was actually the one that was like, "Oh, you should apply to this thing called a fellowship." So I did. Um, and so as I started grad school, I actually got a fellowship. And so you get paid a little bit more as a fellowship student, though a lot of my friends were paid through the 32,000, and they are still able to do all the activities and stuff that we do. So it's not like there's too big of a difference in salary there. I really like living in Gainesville. I think there's so many fun things to do in the area, and it's not like you're eating ramen every day, so you actually can afford to eat and go grocery shopping. Not to say that we don't coupon, because you definitely want to save where you can. But UF hosts a lot of fun activities, and I don't know about for master's students, but I think it's true for master's and PhD. Like you get like free gym access. So if like you're a student, so all the gyms on campus that are open for students that you can go to, and there's a ton of like free classes that you can sign up for gym classes. UF offers a lot of like free things for students as long as you kind of look out for them, and discounted for a lot. So like the sporting events besides football are all free. And so you can definitely have fun, but still save some money. So I think being a UF student, especially for PhD, you can still have fun and not feel like you're gonna not make rent and not be able to eat that month. So yeah, I think that's what I want to say about the living situation with the money.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And yeah, so as Emily mentioned, there are definitely benefits for being a student. As long as you're paying the student fees, which you would be required to pay, that would give you access to just about everything on campus. So we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but a free bus system, discounted tickets to certain things, free tickets to certain things, free access to the athletic facilities and the gym facilities on campus. A lot of the sporting events are free for students, probably not football because that's kind of a separate thing of its own, but there are a lot of benefits for being a graduate student at UF. So it kind of leads a good segue into our next topic, which is connections to industry that our departments provide and that the UF campus provides. So one of the benefits is you being a graduate student is you have access to the UF Career Connection Center, which is a very busy unit on campus, which serves undergrads and grad students and produces 2 times a year a huge career showcase, excuse me, which kind of fills up our basketball facilities, which is big. So there are tons of companies, over 600 come twice a year. It's the largest career fair in the southeast part of the country. So some of the companies that recruit, there's a graphic on the next slide, but some notable ones, Intel, PayPal, National Labs, very recognizable, huge companies that have a worldwide footprint, not just in Florida or within the US. So the Career Connection Center also provides assistance with obtaining employment, not just through the career fair, but other ways as well. Internship opportunities, help with your resume and interviewing. They can provide you with interview attire, professional attire if you need that, at a very low, minimal cost, if any. And then also a little bit more insular, our departments have even smaller events that are exclusively for their own students. Some of those events are listed here. And rather than me reading those off, I will call on one of our departments to talk about their career fair. Christina, do you want to talk about CISE?
Yeah, hi, thank you again. So our career fair happens twice a year. We have it spring and fall. We bring in over, and keep in mind, this is just for CISC. We bring in over 50 companies. We have lots and lots of students that attend for the day. And our next CISE career fair is February 2nd. It is, even if I know if you're coming in for spring of 2026, you may think, you know what? I don't even qualify for an internship or a job. It's not necessary for me to go. I would recommend highly that you attend just to get an idea of what to expect when you are eligible for internships or jobs. So it's good practice. We have our career connections that will also be doing little workshops and meeting with students to go over like resumes and whatnot, how to dress and things like this. So I recommend that you guys come and attend. It is an amazing, amazing event. Thanks, Krista.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good advice. The earlier, the better to get involved in things like that. Jordan, ISE also has a career fair. Do you want to speak a little bit about that event?
Sure, yeah. So we hold our ISE Career Fair and every fall annually. And so we do usually have I think about 2 dozen or so employers turn out. Ones that are common are like Amazon, Coca-Cola. So yeah, we have a number of students that attend every year, and they do manage to secure, internship and cooperative experiences through these through our event.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as I mentioned, there's a graphic here of some of the companies that either are represented at the Career Center Fair or even the smaller events that our departments put on. So obviously these are very recognizable, very huge companies, Apple, Amazon. I mean, all of these, I'm sure, are companies and brands that you're familiar with. So we have a lot of success with these companies hiring our students and placing them into really prolific positions in their companies. Okay, so moving on to housing options for graduate students. I've listed here some on-campus options and some off-campus options. I know quite a few students that live on campus, but I also know a lot of students who live off campus. So we'll go over both options. Did any of our students live on campus currently in any campus housing? Nobody? Okay, that's okay. So these are the options here. I will say you are go ahead and research these on your own if you're interested in living on campus. How it works is I believe your rent is deducted from your student account, which is why it's connected to UF. Very easy to pay your rent. But the only downside is it's really hard to get into. So if you're interested in living on campus, I recommend that you apply early. There will likely be a waiting list and you may not get in right away. So just keep that in mind. Off-campus options, it seems like there's endless opportunities and places to live off campus and changing by the day because we're constantly putting up new buildings in Gainesville for residential options for students. Let's see, Chandra, where do you live? Can you talk about your housing situation in Gainesville?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I'm living off campus. I'm living a place named called University Commons. So from that place to reach the college is just a 10 minutes drive, and we have free bus available. So it's very easy to commute from the university to my apartment. So the problem of the housing is not so big here. So we can find easily the housing, just as told. we have to apply early. So
Okay,
thank you.
that's good advice. Always apply early. So adding on to that, since you commute, how is the parking situation for students?
Yeah, regarding the parking, there isn't any problem. They have a huge parking. In every houses, apartments, I can say there is lots of parking space available, or they left for the parking. And in addition, there is swimming pool and the free gyms also available in each housing. So it is very nice to live and good to, I mean, we can enjoy a good life over there.
Great. Emily, would you want to chime in on your housing option and like if you commute, what is the on-campus parking situation like?
Yeah. So I live like 20-ish, 30-ish minutes away from campus. So my commute's a little bit longer to work. Um, I know a lot of my friends also live a little bit farther from campus, because we all drive to work. Um, and so knowing what traffic looks like in Gainesville, you'll know your first day when you drive, and based on where you're parking, you'll know when parking lots and stuff tend to fill up. So, normally for engineering, we're all kind of in the same little area. So I know a lot of people like to park at Garage 7, which is the O'Connell Center, which is the basketball stadium by the football stadium, or Garage 14, which is like near the physics building, which is still close to like Malachowski Hall and whatnot. Um, I know from experience that 7, like if you don't get there before like 9:30 in the morning, you're not getting parking and there, and that's the closest parking to campus. And so then you end up going to 14. But still, like I say that, like you have to drive to Garage 14, but it's still not that much farther of a walk. Especially depending on what building you're in. I'm in MSC, I'm in the nuclear side, so our 3 buildings are kind of like right next to each other, so it doesn't really matter whether I park at 7 or 14. It's just a little bit closer to park at 7. Because Garage 14 has like 7 floors, and I think students can park on 4 of the 7 floors, whereas Garage 7 is 3, and you can only park on 2 of them. So that's not to say that you can't park on campus. There's tons of options, just knowing that you should probably get there a little bit early to get good parking.
Definitely good advice. Yeah, so just to add on to that, the way it works is UF parking lots and garages are divided by color, which means like access type. So there's different colors. Student parking is red parking, is my understanding. Is
We
it red
have,
or green?
yeah, so grad students are green. So
Okay.
like undergrad would be red.
Got it. There's medical students too, which have a different color, staff have a different color, and the garages are labeled with a different color. So it's not like you can park anywhere on campus. You have to park in that designated lot, but there is ample parking. And if you have to park a little farther away, like I mentioned, there's free bus system. So you can hop on the bus and just take that to your the building that you're trying to get to. Or there's a lot of scooters available on campus. A lot of people use those to get from place to place. So there's definitely options. Okay, so all about Gainesville. Stepping outside of campus or a little bit on campus too, but out of the lab for sure to see what Gainesville has to offer is kind of all about this slide. So a lot of things to mention here, a lot of things going on in Gainesville. I would say despite it being a moderately sized college town, there is a lot going on day to day in Gainesville. There's local restaurants, there's local breweries, which offer just a nice outdoor place to hang out, even if you're not into the beverages that they offer. There's non-alcoholic options, there's food trucks there, just a nice place to hang out and meet up with people. There is a big art scene in Gainesville. There's a local music, outdoor music venues. There's a big music festival once a year that brings thousands of people to Gainesville. It's really huge and very popular. Nature is all around you here in Gainesville. You will see live alligators on campus, which is why that little picture is there. Don't be afraid, just let them be and you'll be fine. You'll get lots of advice on the nature that you'll see in Gainesville once you get on campus. There's parks nearby, there's trails nearby, there's museums to visit, hiking, biking, if you're into that. Really something for everybody. So let's hear from Allison. Allison, what do you like to do in Gainesville or
Obviously, when it's fall, it's all about football, of course. But now tonight, once in a million, you have your national championship basketball team. So that's also quite exciting. But we also have I know a lot of students, especially graduate students, like to read. And every fall and spring, we have a Friends of the Library bookstore and basically sale. And it's anything and everything that you could want with books and records. And it kind of makes Gainesville unique in that way. And everything that has anything that you can think of that's been used by the library and and they support our library is available. And they have 25-cent day where you can go and get any book that's available. They have some first editions. It's really, really great. And the other thing I like about it is you are always near a beach. You can go start off one day in the morning near Cedar Key, and then you can drive across the state and end up with the Atlantic. So you definitely are near a beach anywhere. We're also real close down to Orlando if you're into the theme park thing. So it's very centrally local, and you can get to anything. If you want the mountains, I've even had some people discuss about going up to the mountains where we get near the fall season. You're about, 5-6 hours away from there too, if you really want to go there. So, but it's just very centrally located, and we just, it's a very good town to live in. And the weather's nice except in the summer. It's very hot in the summer. So, but that's part of my favorite events.
Great, thank you. Let's hear from a student. Peter, you're a relatively new graduate student, so what have you thought about Gainesville and the things to do so far?
Oh yes, yeah. I think I'm coming from Ohio State, where I did my undergrad and master's, and then before that, I grew up in the Chicago area. So I always grew up in the Midwest, and just moved out here in August, and it really was so far a really great experience. I have made great friends within my program, and then I also have been able to explore a bit of Gainesville. There are the springs and a lot of different natural things to do, especially now in the fall as it's starting to cool off. It seems like the perfect temperature to really do a wide variety of anything outdoors. Like you mentioned, the live music, the breweries, and all of that. And then on campus, there's always a lot going on, a lot of clubs, student organizations, and sporting events to attend. So really, it's been a great experience so far.
Great, thank you. So we talked a little bit about this, but this is some things to do a little bit beyond Gainesville. St. Augustine is the oldest city in US. That's a really popular destination for a lot of people in this area, I think. I know a lot of people in Gainesville, when they're craving a beach day or a little vacation, tend to flock to that area. But any of our beaches, the Panhandle beaches down south, they're all beautiful. I think Allison touched on the theme parks. We all, I'm sure, have heard of those. Always close to a beach. There's other things like Kennedy Space Center, a few hours away from here on the Atlantic coast. Museums in some of the bigger cities that might be more well-known. There's for example, Salvador Dali Museum in St. Petersburg, I believe. Lots of zoos and aquariums, especially aquariums, as you might imagine, since we're surrounded by water. So a lot of things to do. Let's hear from another student. Ibrahim, what have you explored outside of Gainesville so far?
Yeah, I have been to Tampa, and also have been to Orlando. I like the centric location of Gainesville, actually. I have been to San Augustine. I I love the place.
Awesome. Let's see. Mahanya, do you have anything to add? Any places you visited outside of Gainesville?
Yes, sure. So I've been with my friends to St. Augustine. Like we really had a good time there. And apart from that, I do want to visit Kennedy Space Center. And yeah, hopefully we can plan that soon.
Kennedy Space Center is definitely a place you need to go. It's really cool. All right. So I think Peter mentioned student organizations. There's a student org for pretty much anything, any discipline specific group you might be interested in, cultural background, hobby, anything that you can think of pretty much. I think I've seen a UF club for it. So when I last looked, I wanted to mention specifically the IGSA, because when I last looked at the registration for this seminar, there were quite a few students from India. So we do have a very large Indian student population at UF, and our graduate students have formed the IGSA, which is really helpful to Indian graduate students, especially when they're first arriving to the US. They're kind of a connection between campus and new students and help them acclimate to the US and to UF culture, helps them navigate like the visa process, the campus arrival, finding housing, all the things that you need to do when you move to a new country, right? There's a lot of things to consider. They will pick up students from the airport. They have a WhatsApp group for new students to keep them aware of any events or things that they're offering, any help that they can provide. The QR code here is for spring 2026. So if you're planning to arrive next semester and want to join that group, you can scan that QR code. You can visit any of those websites. We will have the fall 26 code as soon as we get that from them, but I'm sure they're working on that now. Feel free to reach out to any of those students for assistance if you have any questions. They're really responsive and really great about helping out. So this kind of is a summary slide. We're getting towards the end of our presentation. This slide is, I like to think of as just the summary of UF altogether. You have groundbreaking research, you have a really robust and voracious sports scene here in Florida and at Gainesville. You have beaches, you have student groups and connections and friends and research and classwork, all of these things leading to your final graduation here from the University of Florida. And we just really think that this is a place where you will thrive, you will grow. And I want to stop here and ask a few people. I've prepped our panelists to have a response for this question. So I'm going to randomly call in a few people to let us know what they think makes UF unique. So one thing, if you can pick your top thing about what makes UF unique. So Julissa, I don't think we've heard from you yet. What do you think makes UF unique?
I can't speak for the other departments, but with ECE, I really know how much they care about their students. They've really had, not saying that they don't care about their students, but there's been such a push in our department for trying to take care of the mental health of our students. We've been putting on a lot of different events to like workshops and stuff, and then when they have graduate student week, something like that. I forget the actual name of it. But we try to put on as many events as we can to support our students and to let them know that we're here for them, because we know how challenging it can be, not just to go through a grad program, but to be away from home if you're not a Floridian. So that's one of the things I think that makes EC and UF special.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Chandra, what do you think makes UF unique?
I think the history of this college itself is one of the greatest point. because this location one is the location and it's the area what it has covered. I feel like this college itself, university itself is just like one city, small city. And then the research part, the university is highly focused on the research. So anyone who want to do who want to find their career in the research, then this university could be one of them. And then the faculty members, they are all experienced, so we can trust with them that you will be in the one positions, or they will take them a student to the right positions, so that in the futures they can get a good job or something like that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think Dr. Anderson is here with us now. So, Dr. Anderson, from a faculty perspective, what would you say makes UF unique?
I think it's the culture, throughout the university and the college, and that extends all the way, to the city. I mean, you just feel really supported here, and everybody is here because we want to be here. We want to support UF, and we want to support the students. And I think that culture extends down to our students also feeling, very supported. And I feel like as a faculty, and I felt this way as a student when I was here 20 years ago as well. That really the university was watching out for me. It was putting me in a position where I could be successful. And that's one of the reasons that I came back here, as a faculty when the opportunity came up. And so, yeah, it's great.
Thank you so much. Perfect way to sum this up. So in closing, I wanted to make sure all of you have contact information for all of our graduate staff, and staff for the International Center. I know we didn't have everyone represented from each department here today, but if you need to reach out to someone that wasn't here, this is the contact information. We are more than happy to help you. Feel free to reach out to me as well. If you have any questions or concerns, we're happy to help you navigate the admissions and application process. And this was a repeat from an earlier slide, but if you joined us late, we just want to make sure that everybody sees this. This is our registration code to make sure that you get application fee waiver information and information about your chosen department that you're applying to. 2 different options based on your degree. So make sure you scan those if you haven't already done that. And that is all that we have. Thank you for everyone attending today. We really appreciate it. Hope to see you next semester or in the fall semester at UF, and go Gators. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.